There is no soul. If there was, it would be some way to test for that. And of course, near-death experiences conform to whatever religious perspective the patient already believed in, so that Hindu people see Hindu gods and Thai people see Thai gods, and so on. Thus, near-death experiences are no more reliable than past life remembrance, and both fail every test that can be put to them. So you don't go anywhere when you die. You are what your body and your brain...
Bitch, I'm about to present you some goddamn evidence. That's gonna be debunk your junk. I want to show you this. You see this man right here? You see this man right here? You see this motherfucker right here? Not the old woman. Do you see that man right here? That's the late Dr. George G. Ritchie III. He had a near-death experience. In 1943, he died in an army hospital, and they got an affidavit that confirms with real doctors and nurses back then, that he had been dead for 9 fucking minutes. 9.5 minutes. But was resuscitated when the ward boy making the rounds refused to accept the verdict of his superior officer that the man was dead. He thought he saw his hand moving. So the OD on duty gave him a shot of adrenaline into his heart and he recovered. Which was totally ridiculous because his entire system had deteriorated from pneumonia. Double lobar pneumonia. That's what he had. Double lobar pneumonia. He died from double lobar pneumonia, bitch. And they got the goddamn affidavits to prove it, bitch. So there's evidence, you bitch. And when he came back, the motherfucker had a tale to tell. He wrote 2 books. Return from the Tomorrow. But the one he recommends you to read is Order to Return. Or the book My Life After Dying. By Dr. George G. Ritchie III. He later became a psychiatrist. Yeah. So this was no nutcase, nut job. He says that when he died, he passed out while being weighed. No shit. He passed out while on an x-ray machine to x-ray his lungs. When he woke up, he saw a body lying in the bed he just got out of. And this really perplexed him. He did not realize that was him. So, to make a long story short, he walks around the ward looking, trying to find some help. Everybody who sees him, nobody responds to him. So, I know this sounds weird, but get the goddamn book your goddamn self and read it for your goddamn self. This is goddamn evidence, you bitch. Unless you're too shaking shit to read this fucking shit. Next thing you know, he finds himself outside the army hospital, flying about 500 feet in the air. I know this sounds weird, but this is... Get the goddamn book, Order to Return, or get the goddamn book, Return from Tomorrow. And this has been documented by goddamn real doctors in the goddamn army. 1943. It was December of 1943 when he died. When he fucking died for 9.5 goddamn minutes. He was flying out of his body. And he stopped at a place. And he saw a restaurant with a Pabst Blue Ribbon beer sign propped in the window. And he saw a man walking. He tried to communicate with the man to ask him what city was the city. The man paid him no rat's ass attention because of course he was a fucking ghost. Oh! Woo! I had to get chill bumps. And he when he tried to touch the man, his hand goes right through the fucking man. Then he's baffled by this. This astounds him. he leans against the guy wire a telephone pole, and his hand goes through that telephone pole. Well, of course he sees Jesus, comes back to life. But you say nobody goes anywhere in these near-death experiences. This motherfucker, he had never been. No. He was 9 months later or so. He was driving with some army buddies through a city. I think Vicksburg, Mississippi. And he had never been in that city before in all of his entire goddamn life. But they passed this restaurant, and it was exactly as he saw it in his near-death experience. The Pabst Blue Ribbon beer sign was in the window. The layout of the land was exactly as he remembered it, on the banks of a huge river. And he wrote words to this effect: This removed the possibility of my experience being a delusion or dream, as so many of the skeptics wanted to claim. So, bitch, my challenge to you, bitch, get that goddamn book, My Life After Dying, by Dr. George G. Ritchie III. And you read this goddamn book, and you face this goddamn evidence, and if there's no God, you tell me what the fuck happened. Why he was able, when his goddamn body was dead from goddamn double lobar goddamn pneumonia. When his body was lying in a goddamn hospital bed. How in the goddamn bloody red color busted cunt fuck was this goddamn man's spirit able to fly to Vicksburg? It sounds ridiculous, except that this shit has been. He was dead for 9 minutes, and this shit is. They have a goddamn affidavit that goddamn motherfucker was dead for 9 goddamn minutes and a half. The goddamn doctors. Dr. Donald C. Francis was the commanding officer to whom the OD had been in charge. And the motherfucker in his spirit body in the air saw a huge river with a bridge, and he lit down in a restaurant with a Pabst Blue Ribbon beer sign. And 9 months later, or something like that, he was driving through Vicksburg, Mississippi for the first time ever. And he saw the same goddamn thing he saw when he was goddamn dead lying on that goddamn hospital bed. So, jackass, how in the fuck do you debunk this shit? Maybe something, if there is no God, what in the goddamn fuck is going on, bitch?
It was the 1st of December, 1943. Private George Ritchie was stationed at Camp Barkley, Texas. He had just been chosen to attend the Medical College of Virginia and was waiting to be sent to Richmond to begin classes. A week before he was to board the train, he checked into a hospital due to an upper respiratory infection. The day before his scheduled departure, he felt his condition worsening, but tried desperately to prove that his health was satisfactory. It was the last train out of Camp Barkley that week. Missing the train to Richmond would possibly mean missing the opportunity to attend medical school. Ritchie spent that entire night in coughing spasms with an uncontrollable fever. He was aware that his condition was severe. His fever was abnormally high. He had already been trained as a medical and surgical technician, so he was in a state of shock when he saw that the thermometer had reached over 106 degrees. The medical staff arrived to transport him by ambulance to have an updated chest x-ray done. Private Ritchie collapsed, and his condition deteriorated throughout the next 24 hours. Eventually, he was pronounced dead. His chart reading expired from double lobar pneumonia. Then the officer gave orders to prep him for the morgue. From there, George Ritchie tells of what he experienced during the time that he was pronounced dead.
From a subjective point of view, I'll have to tell you what I was experiencing. I knew I had missed my train. So I'm looking all around this rather dark room trying to find my uniform. Couldn't find it and decided that I didn't have any more time to waste there, so I come on out of this little room into the hall, and I'm crossing, getting ready to go outside when I see this ward boy coming down. I turned around to him to tell him to watch where he was going, and either he walked through me or I through him. Now this kind of shocked me, but when I had made up my mind I was going to get to Richmond, I was going to get to Richmond, so this didn't shock me. I go on out to the door, going to the outside. As soon as I got outside of that door, I'm suddenly up into the air, varying between 500 feet to 500 yards above the ground, going at an incredible speed. And finally I come to this large river. I see this city on the other side. I let down just in front of this white all-night cafe because I saw this civilian getting ready to go into the cafe, because I want to ask him if I'm heading in the right direction to get to Richmond.
What city is this? Excuse me, sir. You can just tell me what city this is? I'd really appreciate it. I was on my way to Richmond, and I seem to have gotten lost. Please.
This was the second time that another human being acted like they could neither hear nor see me. So I went over to lean against the guy wire of a telephone post, and my hand goes through the guy wire of the telephone post. Then it suddenly hit me that I had left something back there in that bed in Barclay, and I knew, because I was still using massive denial, that I'd better go back get it. And I made the next, or the first most important discovery about being outside of your body, that you really go where your soul sincere desires. That time and space as you and I comprehended in this level doesn't exist, because in no time at all, I was right back there in the front of the hospital. But I had made a very tragic mistake. I hadn't looked to see which ward I'd come out of, much less which room. I could see the soldiers lying there in the bed. And we take for granted we know what we look like, but we don't, because you see, we really have never seen ourselves from here up, except in the two-dimensional object we know as a mirror. And I saw a lot of soldiers that looked like me, but none of them had my fraternity ring on their finger. And I'm going through from ward to ward, room to room, trying to find me, and becoming more desperate. Finally went into this little isolation room, and lying over in the bed with the sheet pulled up over its head was this body. I realized it was me because I recognized my fraternity ring, and it even had a chip on the black onyx because it was a Phi Gamma fraternity ring, and there wasn't any mistaking. And I am utterly petrified. My massive denial has broken down. I suddenly realize that that body is dead. And I'm too young to die. I'm only 20 years of age. And then all of a sudden I thought the light at the head end of the room was getting brighter, but it was growing in an intensity of light to where if you turned on 1,000,000 welders' lights, you'd have some idea of the intensity. Three things happened at the exact same moment. Something deep inside of my spiritual being, not the corpse lying over in the bed, said, stand up, you're in the presence of the Son of God. At that exact same instant, out of this brilliant light stepped the most amazing being I have ever met, and those hospital walls virtually disappeared. I saw every single minute detail of my life, everything I had ever done in public and private, from seeing my own cesarean section birth to my 20th year when I was pronounced dead. And he threw a question, what had I done with my life? And I thought, well, I'm an Eagle Scout. Immediately he shot back, that glorified you. And the same question again, what have you done with your life? Now over there in that realm, there is no such thing as hypocrisy, because one of the first things that you become aware of is that the other being is totally aware of what you think, so you can't think one thing and say another. There's no such thing as misunderstanding what he meant. And yet, here was a being that knew everything about me, and he totally accepted me and he totally loved me. Now that blew my mind. The next thing that took place was that Christ motioned for me to come over close to him. Now you can well imagine by this time I really do think that I've seen everything, but I'm finding out this is just the beginning, because suddenly he's opening up another realm to me. Now I wanted to stay there, but then I suddenly realized that the Christ was pulling me away and that we were heading back into this isolated room in Camp Barkley Station Hospital outside of Abilene, Texas.
Private George Ritchie's death was confirmed by Dr. Donald G. Francie, captain in charge during the time of these events. Dr. Ritchie's book, My Life After Dying, contains the elaborate account of the various realms of the afterlife that he claims to have experienced. It is a detailed look at one man's encounter with death and what he believes lies beyond.
Baby, put my face, I'm a basket cake. Baby, put my face. Broke my back so you would love me, but instead you stood above, you spit me out, you kicked me down. I